We are live. We are not even doing an intro today. So here we are. We are live. Star Wars Jedi Chat.
Hello there.
Mike, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic. Maul Shadow Lord trailer. I mean, it can't get much better than this.
So good. So good. So what I would like to do first, it's Derek's birthday. So we want to wish Derek, everybody in the chat, wish Derek a happy birthday.
Yes.
Nick is actually in Disney, but he was trying to get to Galaxy's Edge. He was there with I think some family. There we go. Happy birthday, Derek. That's for you. So before we get started here on all the chat and everything, thank you guys all for being here. We have a special guest tonight that's going to be joining us, and I know most of you guys have seen him already. And he has helped Mike out a few times. He's here to chat with us tonight about Star Wars. It is Mr. Jimmy.
Hey, guys.
Explore the Force. Welcome.
Howdy.
How are you?
Good.
Good to have you here.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about Maul.
Man, I mean, when they dropped that, it's funny. I was off of social media for a little while. And I woke up the next morning, like early in the morning. I saw that it had already dropped, and Mike had already done a breakdown of it, and everybody else had seen it already. I was just like so excited, and then I was like, "Oh shit, it's been out for like 17 hours already," but it was still amazing and so exciting. It just brings that hype level up again even more as we see some of this stuff that's coming out.
Absolutely.
So, while we're talking about it, I mean, first of all, I would like to say hello to everybody in the chat here. Let's do that. Jarvo is here, and Max is always here as Lobo, Darth Plagueis, Holly. Thank you for joining us, and 50 Thunder, and anybody else that's out there. Please let us know. Say hello. Throw some stuff in the chat. Let us know what you guys think about this Maul trailer, because we'll go ahead and we'll just watch it. Let's go.
Our target is a syndicate leader. He is associated with several criminal organizations and proficient with a laser sword.
The Empire tried to kill me. Their betrayal demands consequence. And that consequence requires a weapon. Together, we can destroy the Empire.
He wants to fight as allies.
The Empire may be our common enemy, but Maul will never be our ally.
We need to find him, whatever it takes.
This is escalating out of our hands. The Empire will want answers.
The Empire will lock this planet down.
Jedi, where is Maul? I'm right here. Let us have our revenge.
We're not gonna take out the whole Empire.
I mean, come on. It's going to be so good. And I think, because of the action in this, and you guys let me know, I mean, I know we're going to watch it multiple times, but we're going to have to watch it multiple times to catch some of this action that's going on, because it's so fast. And I know it's only on these little screens right now, but everything that he's doing and they're doing with these lightsabers and these battles and the horror stuff that's going on, I think it's going to be fantastic. And we're going to have to just to watch it on the big screen on your TV big screen is going to be pretty epic.
Yeah, I mean, the horror aspects of this trailer is what gets it like to the next level, because a lot of the scenes, or some of the scenes, are the same from the first trailer, but the first trailer was very much a teaser, and this is an official trailer, and it's the last trailer we're going to get. The show comes out in 3 weeks. This is the last full trailer we're going to get. There'll be more marketing for the show, but it's just those screeching noises as the train goes past and he vanishes, or where he ignites the lightsaber and kills all the pikes. Like, that stuff is just so good because it's nothing like we've ever seen in Star Wars before. And that's exciting on a whole new level, because we've never seen a show that's focused as the main character on a bad guy. You could argue the Acolyte, but that's, I guess, a good guy, Osha, who becomes a bad guy, who becomes an Acolyte. So it's different. This is about the main guy, Maul, bad guy. And we've never seen that before. So it's not pulling any punches. It's not going to be a kid's show, as people like to call these animated series. It's going to be Maul slicing and dicing, and it's going to be, hopefully, have that horror aspect throughout the entire series.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I tell you what, we were actually talking about that yesterday, where if I had kids, I'd have to preview this before I showed it to them. Like, there's no way. Like, I know Star Wars is for kids, but that trailer would have scared the crap out of me as a kid, I think. Like, that was intense. I've never, like, again, never seen anything like that in Star Wars. It's kind of cool that they're kind of, you know, feeding into that different genre kind of thing, and I really hope that they stick with it. And I just want to give credit. Wagner Moura, the voice of Brandon Losser.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you got Pablo Escobar himself voicing this cop. I'm just like, you got these Sam Witwer's voice, you know, as he's doing them all, and you've got this Brandon Lawson. And those two voices just against each other, man, it's going to be a great series just based on that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure this guy just was nominated for actor of the whatever best actor at the Oscars last weekend. And he's going to be the voice of a cop in Maul's Shadow Lord. Like, they're really going for it with this show. The cast is loaded, even though it's an animated series, and even though it's only 10 episodes, it's going to tell an incredible story, and they know it. It's probably going to be, I don't know how many seasons. It's definitely multiple seasons. At this point on Disney Plus, it says season 1, and it says the age of Maul in the trailer. So it's an age is not one season, and that's only 10 episodes. So we're going to get multiple seasons, but they're really going for it with this show. Like, really going for it. It feels like the Bad Batch was an excuse to just have D. Bradley Baker do 1,001 voices in the booth by himself. And it was great. But this is the opposite of that. They're getting all the voice actors that they could possibly imagine and putting them in this show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's fantastic. And I think we're going to see so much more, obviously, as we go on. So 7:30 EV is here. Zima, Mike was wearing a happy birthday for Derek. So she said, what exactly are you wearing? So
yeah,
it's Derek's birthday. That's why he's not here. So we have Jimmy from Explore the Force, Mike, and myself. So what are you going to say, Mike?
We're enough.
That's right. We are. Chopper Base, what's up? Yes, this is my new house. So Chopper Base. Yeah. This is the first podcast in my new setup. So we have arranged some things. There's a lot of stuff that's still in boxes and in 3 different rooms, besides the studio here. But we'll get it dialed in. But I got some stuff here tonight, so I thought it was pretty cool. I thought we got Vader here. We got a little AT-AT, and I think we're gonna keep R2 in the shot from now on. So what do you think about that, R2? Yeah. Okay.
You're living a dangerous life over there, Ron.
I know. Hey, at least it's not Chopper.
You smartly put Chopper in a cage behind you, as you can see. I got him right over my shoulder. It's dangerous, but you got Vader right behind you, R2-D2. Like, those are some dangerous people.
Yes.
But the setup is growing, that's for sure.
What So Jimmy, I'm interested to listen to your aspect on this for Maul, because I just don't know how much in the story behind your Star Wars history. So is Maul a good character for you? I know Mike. It's in Mike's top 3. It was actually my second Star Wars tattoo, maybe third. First was
Nice.
Yoda, Chewie, and then Darth Maul. I think was either second or third, but just such a great character. So, what do you think?
Yeah, it's crazy to me. I remember going to see the Phantom Menace, and that fool gets cut in half. I'm like, well, that was cool, I guess, and I was just like, all right, whatever. And then, of course, everything we've gotten since, and just the character, Sam Witwer brings this guy to life with that voice and those emotions. And you get him in Rebels, you've got him in Clone Wars. Yeah, he breaks my heart. Him and Asajj Ventress, they both break my heart with their stories are so tragic. He just never learns, and it's going to be fun to watch this show. Watch Devon around him, because she doesn't know him like we know him, and he's going to believe in him. I just think that getting to tell this story of Maul like this is brilliant, because what a great character. You know what I mean? Like, he's up there for sure. Villain side, misunderstood, whatever you want to call him. Like, what a potential. And I think we're going to get to see it now. That's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's not a straightforward character at all.
No.
He's not. Like, you got Vader and Palpatine. They're the bad guys. And this is about Maul, who's not a good guy at all, but he's not that bad. Like, he's not as bad as those guys. So it's a very blurry line of good versus evil, especially in this show.
Well, and I think we've talked about it before, but you have this character that wasn't very it wasn't in a lot. Obviously that first time that we see Maul on the big screen and he lights up that dual lightsaber, everybody just blows their mind. It's that Joe Rogan thing with at the fights. But it's sort of like Boba Fett, where there was just a little bit of him and he became such a huge character, and I think Maul did as well. And I think that's why we got Boba Fett back, I think, and that's why we got Maul back, because unfortunately they were killed off, but they weren't. So they were able to bring them back, and to bring them back at this time, I think is fantastic. And as I watched, some of these social media, and they have the different things where they're, who would win this duel and who would win this duel. I see that a lot where Maul loses, and I'm like, he's such a badass. Obviously Palpatine just wipes the floor with him and not Asajj, but his brother, and so it's like, that I can understand. But he killed Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
And now when we see these lightsaber duels that he's doing, and I know it's animation, but even Ray Park did such a great job with his spins and the lightsaber duels that they did. And I think, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, or Jimmy, maybe too, I think they slowed down one of the fight scenes because they were actually going so fast, which I thought was really cool.
It was Ewan and Ray Park in the Phantom Menace. Like, that final fight right after Qui-Gon dies and the Ray shield opens, that had to be slowed down because they were too good at it. They were too good at their jobs.
Yeah, and think about the stuff they did in season 7 of Clone Wars with that mocap. That was Ray as well, wasn't it?
Yep.
And just phenomenal.
Yeah. Him and Mary, we did an interview with her. Lauren Mary Kim, that's it. Was the stunt woman in that played Ahsoka, and her. She said Ray Park was just insane.
Just bonkers what those guys can do. So
and I think they've just hyped him up even more with these trailers and this season, and it's just going to be insane to watch him fight all these other people. And I think that's what's going to make a lot of these other fans come to watch him. And I think I text you guys, or I even said it on your podcast yesterday, Mike. This is going to be like a John Wick movie with lightsabers, because there's going to be so much death, in this, and I think it's just going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I know Charlie talked about wanting to keep a tab, like just have a little clicker. How many people does Maul kill?
How many people die?
It'll pop up. I'm sure after the first season we'll be able to find that. Somebody will do that, because you can do that for John. You can say Google you know, how many people died in John Wick, and I think it's like 86 in the first movie or something like that. You know,
Well, I mean, Force Awakens, billions die.
Yeah.
well, yeah,
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, the coolest part to me about the character of Maul is in the same world, in the same fandom, where the biggest complaint is somehow Palpatine returned. Somehow Maul returned is like the greatest thing ever because everybody loves him after his return because his story in the Clone Wars and his story in Rebels is just so good. So it's more so the explanation of how he returns and how it's all about this revenge for Obi-Wan and whatever. Obviously, the somehow Palpatine returns, it needed to be explained a little bit more than that, but we didn't have the time. Now we do. Either way, I digress. It's just funny that in the same fandom where we have the big issue of somehow Palpatine returned, we're getting a Maul Shadow Lord series, and everybody's excited, and nobody cares that he got chopped in half in the Phantom Menace and survived that. Nobody.
yeah, absolutely. And I
Storytelling,
think, yeah, and I think that's what's going to be the cool thing is you're going to have people come into this and be like, wait a minute, I thought he was dead. Oh, he's not dead. So now we get more Maul. So some of these normie fans are going to become fans again of Maul because they thought he was dead.
Yeah.
You know, which I think is
It's
pretty
the same
badass.
thing with why I hope Boba Fett is going to be in the Mandalorian and Grogu, because although Boba Fett has his own show, some people who just don't watch the shows are going to be like, "Oh, Boba Fett's dead," and then if they see him in a movie in the Mandalorian and Grogu, they'll be like, "Holy crap, what happened?" And then maybe they'll go back and figure out what happened with the show.
You definitely get a little bump in like Rebels and Clone Wars too, of people trying to figure out how's this guy back?
Yeah, I've already gotten that question a bunch from friends and family whenever like they've seen the trailer and the hype for Maul Shadow Lord, and they text me and they go, "Will I have to watch anything else to understand this?" And I mean, the answer is no. Yes, you'll probably want to know how Maul's still alive, and you maybe would have to watch the Clone Wars for that. But I've got a feeling they're probably going to do like a previously on or like something like that with Maul in the first episode, so you kind of know what's happening.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what they'll do. Just as we hear him talking in that first teaser trailer about the little tea party and stuff, or sitting down at the tea party, and as he talks through the second trailer, I think, right?
Yeah.
You know, and it's just they'll definitely do some flashbacks or something to talk about, you know, how he got sliced in half, and maybe we'll see that. That would be cool to see an animated version of Obi-Wan, you know.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, which would be cool because again, the different every time we get a new Order 66, you know,
Flashback,
whether it's
yeah.
animated or live action or whatever. I mean, it's just so cool to see the different perspectives of Order 66, which I love. So I think this would be a cool way to see a different perspective, you know, of Maul's perspective of what happened. Because, like you said, yeah, you're gonna have to explain how did he come back, and whether they do that, you know. And explain it through the Night Sisters or just, you know, his spider legs and then he got regular legs or something like that. But you're definitely going to have some sort of backstory for him for some of the normie fans that are going to watch this.
Well, you'll need it too to explain, I guess, where he's at, because
Right.
does he know Obi-Wan? Does he think Obi-Wan is dead? Like, what is his stance on that? So he could be explaining to anybody, maybe this Devon Izara character, but he could be explaining to anybody what happened, and he could say, "I got chopped in half by this, you know, Jedi, and through the anger and the dark side, I survived. I was rescued by my brother, and all I wanted was revenge on Obi-Wan Kenobi, and now Obi-Wan Kenobi's dead." And that would immediately tell the audience that he thinks Obi-Wan's dead and tell them what happened. Very, very simply, actually. It would be a pretty easy story to tell.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Jimmy.
It'll be interesting though. I mean, just because in a comic, it's more about like Brandon Losser and he just shows up and like he's ready. I don't even know if you need it. I mean, it'll be good for a back, you know, to get some backstory, but I think that this is going to be so much action because there's so much going on. You got so many characters. You've got so many. I mean, you've got the Empire, you've got the Inquisitors, you've got the Pikes, you've got other groups, and you've got Brandon Losser. I mean, you got so much stuff going on. It's going to have to be quick, whatever it is. You know, however they decide to bring us up to speed. you know, it's got to be quick. I think. I don't know how much time you have. I mean, it's only 10 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it'll
the thing
definitely
with,
be, I think, in that first episode. Go ahead.
yeah, no, with the 10 episode season, you can't spend filler episodes anywhere. Like you can't just waste time. It's 10 episodes, that's it. Most of our animated shows have been 15, 16, 22 episodes per season, and that's not the case here. So they're really just going to be, and we don't have to get, I guess, descriptions of most of these characters. We know Maul, we know the Inquisitors, we know Rook Cast, we know, I guess we don't really know the Jedi and apprentice duo here, but for the most part, we don't need to grow an emotional attachment to the character of Darth Maul before something good happens. So 10 episodes should be enough.
Good
Although I do want
storytelling
more.
too. Like if you just tell that story through the stuff that's happening, which I think they're going to do, then we just kind of get pulled into it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I know a lot of fans don't have patience, and that's pretty evident whenever we're doing streaming stuff week to week. But if you pay, you know, if you pay attention and just kind of go with the story, I'm sure they're going to pull us along.
Yeah.
Those
Oh,
characters will
absolutely.
grow.
And it
And
will
I
be
think-
that first episode, I think, Mike, like you said. They're going to have to break it. Like, come right in, give us the story of what's going on, where he's at, how he got here, and then we start getting into the meat of everything.
And I think the release schedule is only going to help that with the 2 episodes per week. It's going to help the viewership numbers a lot, but it's also going to help, like, if it was just 1 episode on the premiere and then you had to wait a whole week for the second episode, people might just fall off. But if you've already in 2 weeks have half the season or almost half the season, then more people are likely to tune in and see it through, I guess. And it's going to be Star Wars Day, so who's not going to want to watch Star Wars on Star Wars Day when the finale comes around?
Absolutely. You think we'll get a backstory on Devon? Like we'll see, like, when you talk, Ron, you were talking about Order 66. Do you think that we'll see, you know, Master, was it Eco, Dio, and Devon's characters? Do you think we'll get to see like their story? Like that'd be kind of cool, or they were just off somewhere, you know?
Yeah, I think honestly it could be the opening scene, much like Kenobi's opening scene was how Reva survived Order 66, and it was the siege of the temple on Coruscant. It could be just that. Like they probably weren't on Coruscant, they probably wouldn't have survived if they were. But yeah, that opening scene could be how they survive, and then we tune into Maul. But
yeah, I think that's probably, you're going to have to get that because is it Brander Lawson, the officer? And I mean, sorry, it's a spoiler, but if you haven't read the comic book yet, the first comic, he's an ex-bounty hunter. So that makes him a little bit more, I feel like, sort of like that Jedi that steps on that Sith line right there, you know, and you know, sort of like Mace, where, you know, he could go either way, but because I'm sure he's done some bad shit and seen some bad shit, but now he's on the side of the law and he wants to, you know, go after Maul, which, like you said, Mike, maybe because of his son or whatever, but he's got a little bit of a backstory in him, which I think is cool. And that is where I think we'll see him maybe cross the line a little bit to try to go after Maul in a different way than just the straight and narrow.
That's what, yeah, because in the comic itself, I mean, he crosses the line trying to get the bad guy. And I mean, so right off the bat, we know this guy, he wants to do what he thinks right, but he doesn't care how he does it. So he's going to be in this morally gray area from get-go. So now you just have everyone is like just in this in this, no one's a good guy. There's like, other than Devon and was it Master Eco, like they're the only two that are going to be good. Everyone else is like, well,
yeah, and even Devon,
little Machiavellian you know, Maul show.
Yeah. Well, even Devon is going to be towing that line as well, because she's probably going to fall to the dark side. Now, I think the only way, as you see in the trailer, Devon talking about, oh, Maul should be an ally for us, and her master is sort of the one who talks her down from that. Like, the Empire's bad. We're both fighting the Empire, but Maul will never be an ally of ours, because obviously the Master's been around longer, but the Master probably knows who Maul is, at least heard the legend, knows of his existence, knows that he was once a Sith Lord. Devon might not know that. And if something terrible were to happen to the Master, you know, like possibly a death, but I didn't say that, you did. No, if they were supposed to die, then
killing more people.
No, I didn't do it. You did that. No, you heard it. Jimmy just said that. It wasn't me. No. You're going to see the Master die, Eco Dio, and that's going to be the turning point because there's no more anchor holding her to the light. Like, that's where we're going to see her fall. And even you get it in the trailer, which is awesome, when they're fighting Marok on the train. She makes a decision, like it zooms in on her face, and she goes from this to angry to, okay, I'm going to beat the crap out of this guy. And the two of them work together to probably kill Marok, but we'll see, to fight Marok. So you do see that shift happen throughout the trailer, and the Master is nowhere to be seen. So even the good guys will be towing that line.
There's only one other scene with the Master, right? He flips that speeder over, I think, isn't?
Yes.
So does he make it past the first episode? Yeah, he's probably toast. Which sucks because Dennis Haysbert's voice, like, again, the voice acting in this is so good.
Yeah. Well, that you bring up a great point. Every time you see Devon with Maul, Eco Dio's not there.
Mm-hmm.
So he might be gone, like you said, first or second episode, which would be wild.
Yeah, no, I think for sure he'll be gone first or second episode because you're gonna. And I know somebody in here said something about that they might have some filler, or Max did filler episodes because Mando was only the 8 chapters per season, but still, this is I think so much smaller. You're only doing 20, 15, 20, 25-minute episodes, and you're only doing 10 of them. So I think that it's going to happen quick, and it probably is at that first or second episode, because then she's going to have to turn, and he's going to have to start working with this apprentice.
You think she'll turn this season? Like, do you think that's like the finale of this season? Like, she's getting her first tattoo at the end of the season, or you think it's going to happen that quickly? You think it'll be like a struggle, kind of like a Quinlan Voss kind of thing, where she's going to know it's wrong, and she's really going to be struggling with this, because this is a whole other storyline with her struggling with everything she's been taught since she's a child. And then we know Maul can be very persuasive. I mean, he was doing it to Ezra in Rebels. So and I think it'll be a pretty good storyline. But do you think that she falls completely this season, or do you think it's something like, Mike, you're convinced that there's multiple seasons? Do you think that's something that they build on and she gets, or maybe she just falls right at the end or something like that?
Yeah, I think it'll be a slow burn, and it can go one of either ways. You can have fans say it happens too quick, and you have fans say it happens too slow. That's just always how it's going to go. But I think it'll last at least the majority of the season, and it's like the first arc is her Master dying, and then the second arc is her being like imprisoned by Maul, and that's where we get those scenes from the first trailer with the whole tea ceremony and everything, and him convincing her that he's the best option, but her still holding out. And then it's not until the final arc of the season where she finally comes around and helps him fight. And maybe it's because Maul saves her life. Maybe it's something else that happens there, but I think it will take the entire first season and lead into the second season. Now, my biggest question is this character, what happens to her? If she does become our canon version of Darth Talon, well, does she just get killed off in the show in season 2, or does she stick around? And if she sticks around, then where does she go? Because she's not with Maul in Rebels, and from what we've seen on screen, she's not with Maul in Solo either. So where does she go? What happens to her? Is there a big falling out? Do her and Maul disagree with something? Is there a big battle sequence that happens? Where does she go? And will she come up again later on in the timeline? Because so far she hasn't.
I was thinking about that too. Is she the reason he's on Malachor in Rebels? I always assumed it was Kira, right? Because like that situation, but just because we don't see her doesn't mean she's not working with him in Crimson Dawn. But imagine, like you said, if they got in a big fight and she like limps away and she gets away and then disappears for a few years. I don't know how long Twi'leks live, but can she show back up and they relive George Lucas's, idea where Maul and Talon were the bad guys for the next sequel, and she shows up? I mean, I don't know. Ron, what do you think about that? Like, I think that's I think there's so much potential here. I don't want to write her off just because we haven't seen her, because she could have been in the background doing things for him.
Well, and that's what I think. I think I disagree with you guys a little bit in reference to that, because I think that it's going to be quick. I think that second, maybe third week in, she's going in
Nice.
because if we have 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons, we want to build that up. And then we have to figure out and we have to answer these questions, where was she during this time? And now what's she doing now? Different things like that as we go into Starfighter. Is Mia Goth gonna play her?
I hope so.
That would be nuts.
Which would be insane. But again, if we keep looking at everything that they're continuing to put out with, even with these Tales things like you were talking about yesterday, I think, Mike, with Asajj, we've built up, now she has an apprentice, so to speak. So they're building these things up. And I think if this is what you have, Dave Filoni, that's still now the president and still the creative guy. And this is George's, bad guy.
Secret trilogy. Yeah.
Yeah. So this could be, I think that's why I think she's going to turn quick. They're going to become partners. We're going to see them rise up a little bit more. And then, we'll have to get those questions answered when she's going to go away, whether she walks away on her own, whether she's still with him, but nobody knows about it, or, whatever happens. But if this is going to be Darth Talon, then I think she's going to have to go quick to the dark side and ally with him.
Honestly, the end goal for this entire series, to me, at least based off the trailer and based off of Maul's character as we know him, is to get revenge on Palpatine. That's it.
Mhm.
It's to take down the Emperor. And I mean, we know he fails, but how badly does he fail? How close does he get? There could be a world where in season 2, 3, 4 of this series, we actually see Maul and Devon, we'll call her for now. Maul and Devon get close enough to Palpatine where they're in the same room, and maybe it ends the exact same way it ended on Mandalore. Maybe it doesn't. But that could be their splitting point, where Maul maybe thinks that Talon dies or Devon dies in that room, but she doesn't, and she somehow escapes. Like that could be the splitting point, and she's so scarred and so beat from that fight that she has to go to the outer rim or the unknown reaches. I don't know, just spitballing there, but that does seem to be the end goal of this series: is kill Palpatine at whatever cost possible. I want revenge. And he's trying to build his underworld empire and get an apprentice to do so. So it would be really cool if this all ended in a like Dark Disciple, Quinlan and Asajj going to take down Dooku, but Maul and Devon going to take down Palpatine.
Yeah,
and it'd be even better. It'd be even better if Maul didn't know about Vader's existence, and when they go to assassinate Palpatine, Palpatine just laughs, and then there's this epic entrance music, and Vader just walks on it. I got high hopes for this show.
Well, but I think that's what's going to happen that's what I think that the end of this season will bring is whether it's a cliffhanger that they walk in and there's Vader and Maul, and then boom, we end this. We end it this season, which I think would be epic. But we're all going to be minds blown because now we've got to wait a freaking year to see what happens.
Dual hallway scenes where the lightsabers both come on and then it just cuts to dark. You're like, no!
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be amazing. But Papa Boz, I agree with you. I think that this trailer sort of it doesn't look like it's not going to be hard for her to turn. Because first of all, we're after Order 66. So she has an idea of what's going on and with the Jedi because they're all still hiding, correct?
Yeah.
So now you have Maul who's really not the bad guy in her eyes. Her master might know who he is and what he's done, but she sees him, as another force wielder, I'm guessing. And you have all the crime syndicates or all these other bad guys and the Empire that her and her master are fighting. Her master gets killed. Who knows whether it's going to be by Maul or who else? Especially if it's by Morok or somebody like that. That's definitely going to piss her off. So now she has this other force sensitive person that she's been interacting with. So why not join him? He wants to take down the Empire too. he's got force powers. So let me show you a little bit of the dark side here. And, once you go dark, usually you don't come back from that. So, unless you're Anakin, 30 years later.
Yeah. Well, to Jimmy's point too, that he mentioned a second ago with the whole, I guess, Maul already did it to Ezra type deal. Maul also convinces Ahsoka to join him in season 7 of Clone Wars. Ahsoka is like, "I'll join you, sure, why not?" And then they talk about Anakin, and she's like, "Okay, maybe not," but she does agree. She says, "I will join you." She literally says that. So he's pretty good at manipulating these people to the dark side. He's a pretty reasonable guy. Like, he's offering what they want. He's offering what Ahsoka wanted. He's offering what Ezra wanted. He's offering what Devon wants. And right now it's to destroy the Empire. So it could be pretty quick that she decides to fall to the dark side, but she's, at least for the first couple episodes, going to have that anchor of her master that's going to stop her. So it won't happen till at least midway, if not later on in the season.
Is there any chance, this is a wild swing, is there any chance that, like, this is more than master and apprentice relationship? This is like a romantic thing. Like, that's like the one thing missing from Maul's story is like tragic, if something happens to her or something like that, or maybe Talon comes from Devon and Maul.
Ooh,
you know
a
what I mean?
child of Maul?
Yeah,
That'd
like,
be
I mean, I think that's a pretty big swing because,
Yeah.
everything we see Devon is like pink, and I know maybe that's just, the animation or whatever, but I mean, is there,
I never really thought of that.
everything that has happened to Maul in his life, like the only thing that's really missing from all the tragedy, everything he's done is like losing someone that he actually like. Oh yeah,
I
that's a
guess-
good point. He says Maul has no balls. So
True
they
story.
probably got well, never mind.
There
Thank you,
goes that
Rachel.
idea.
Was it Rachel? Throw
I was
that out,
thinking
I
that
guess.
that's a great idea. That was like fantastic. I was already making up fan theories in my head, and then that doesn't work. He
Yep.
doesn't have a lower half. That's true.
Yeah. Oh,
Maybe there's
man.
other ways
Dang
to do it for him. But having said that, it does seem like they're gonna have an interesting relationship. Doesn't matter how it ends, doesn't matter how it goes. It's gonna be pretty weird to see Maul have an apprentice. Because yes, he has his brother. That's his brother. Like, that's not really whatever. And then he's all by his lonesome for a long time after that. He eventually gets to Kira, and I certainly hope this show runs for 4 or 5 seasons and we get to the post Solo days where we get Kira back in Star Wars. That'd be great. But at that point, like, will she be gone? Will Devon, will this Darth Talon girl be already gone? You guys think?
That's the interesting part, because I think she's a lot younger than him. At least that's what it looks like, and I don't know if we have any idea of how old she is or what her age is at this point. I'm sure we can find out what Maul's age is, but I think it'll be cool to see them as they grow together, because if this is going to happen and she is going to turn into this Talon, we're going to have to see how because he's going to test her to see if she's going to be on his side, and just like they do with the Sith training or even the Jedi training. So it'll be interesting to see if we get some of her training and how brutal it might be, sort of like with Palpatine, and Maul, or some of these other masters with Dooku, and Asajj. So is he going to do this some sort of torture with her and make sure that this is what she wants? And if so, are we going to see that in this first season?
Man.
I hope so. Here's the thing. You look at the other animated shows. Clone Wars is 7 seasons. It spans over a couple years. That's it. A couple years, maybe 2.5, 3 at most. You look at the Bad Batch. Bad Batch spans, I guess, other than the epilogue ending or whatever, of years into the future. Same with Rebels. It spans over a couple of years. Maul's story has a 15-year gap in it. To cover 15 years, we're either going to have massive time jumps in between seasons, or it's going to run for like 20 seasons, which it won't, but it could run for forever. This could be a way longer show than The Bad Batch or even Rebels. It could go for 5 or 6 seasons. It could be up in that Clone Wars level of seasons. I don't know if they'll go that route. I kind of like the 3 seasons, maybe 4, but there's plenty of time with Maul's story. 15 years is forever in Star Wars. Most stories take place within a couple weeks of each other.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's the interesting part because you only have these 10 episodes. So if it was 20 episodes or even if it was 15, I think we might see, maybe a little bit less. But I think if they're going to do this and do these 10 episodes, you could be looking at a 4 or 5 season arc that goes on with this, which would be awesome. Yeah. But they also do fill in a lot of gaps in a short amount of time as well. So we might roll in from, and we don't know what the time gaps are going to be in these first episodes. Is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 are going to be back to back, or is 1 and 2 and then 3 and 4 is going to be a year later? And are we going to get that explanation? Is that going to pop up on the screen and say, 1 year later or whatever the case may be? And is this whole season going to be on Janix? Because there's a bunch of stuff going on. But again, we have this big, huge galaxy. So
there's a couple other planets in the trailer. You have Obadiah, which is the Pike's home world, and then some mysterious planet that I don't think has been identified yet. But for the most part, I think it will take place on Janix. I don't see there being inter-season time jumps like you were just talking about, like Andor season 2 had. I don't see that happening. But in between seasons, I could see it being multiple year time jumps. Like maybe the season ends with a big cliffhanger, but you don't meet up with it until a year or 2 after that. And then they have to sort of explain what happened in between in the season itself, like they did with Andor. But it's a long time to spend with the character of Maul. You have to at least lead to him going to Malachor 5 because he's completely by himself, stranded there. There's no empire under him, like a criminal underworld empire. He doesn't have Kira or the Crimson Dawn or Devon with him. He's by himself. What happened? You have to get to that point where he's alone on Malachor 5. Now, maybe he's stranded there for years, and maybe this isn't 15-year time gap. It's only 10 years. But you have to explain how he got there because that's the biggest thing going into this show.
What about Kira and Devon working together? Let's say Devon makes it and this story continues to go. If you think about like Crimson Dawn, it's mostly women that she trusts, right? I mean, everyone in her upper echelon, those two could easily team up and outsmart Maul. I mean,
the problem is though,
both can be around.
That would be cool though if they're the ones who stranded him there. Well, maybe it's so much so that even as Maul gets older, the revenge in his mind grows stronger and he goes crazy. He literally loses his mind, and he wants to go to Malachor 5 because that weapon is there, and he wants it so bad that maybe you're right, Kira and maybe Devon's still there, maybe she's not, but either way, Kira's like, the old guy's got to go. Like it's time for him to go. We'll tell him we'll drop him off on Malachor 5 and we'll leave him be. Like he's just hurting us right now. Like he's just too fixated on this. We don't need this. The Empire's fine. We'll live with them. We don't need Maul anymore. So maybe something like that would happen. I'll be down for that because the Crimson Dawn does return later in the comics, and you see Kira. She even fights Vader.
Empire time period.
Yeah, in between the original trilogy movies, and she's with the Knights of Ren too. So she does return with the Crimson Dawn. But I would love something like that. If we see Maul lose his mind, that would be awesome.
What about that I got all wrapped up because they set us up really well in this trailer where they talk about, they tried to kill me. They need consequences. That consequence is a weapon, and they show to Devon. But he's also a Malachor for the weapon.
Yep.
What if this is like him trying to find this information to get to Malachors? You know what I mean? Like there's other options. I think they really set us up with like, I need a weapon, and bam, Devon's on the screen, you're like, oh yeah, it's gonna be her for sure, you know. But I mean, if you remember, he wants to use that as a weapon in Malachor to defeat the Empire because he's still on that kick of defeating the Empire.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. And maybe it is the trailer just trying to trick us, a little bit of trailer magic going on there, which would be cool. It would be fascinating to see if he's looking for Malachor 5 all those years before. That would be cool. But maybe he is talking about Talon or Devon, and he wants her. She's the first attempt, and then when he realizes that that's going to fail, he maybe goes on to something more powerful.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, and I think that's probably you're going to see that power struggle, no matter what goes on in this. You know, with Maul and whoever else he's going up against, which I think is going to be insane with that. What's your guys' thoughts? I know because I'm not a big horror guy, but what's your guys' thoughts on this? Do you think this will continue to be some of that? I think the trailer was great, and I think this. I don't look at it as a horror thing. For me, I just thought it was the cool way that they edited this. To bring some of that to life and to bring some of the surprises, maybe not scariness, but more surprising things, you know, like, you know, when Malak comes up behind or Morak comes up behind him, you know, and puts his hands on his, you know, because they're gonna try to fight together. It sounds, you know, looks like, you know, he's gonna get some information, you know, whatever. I don't think that they're gonna kill off Brandon Lawson right away. So that'll be interesting to see how that happens. But I know, Mike, you think that, you know, Brandon, you know, his son's probably gonna die by the. Do you think it'll be by the hand of Maul?
Well, Brandon needs a reason to hate Maul more than others because he's on Janix. He's been on Janix. He knows that this is a underworld planet. He knows that the syndicates are here. Why does he hate Maul specifically so much? Maybe he doesn't kill his son, but in the first trailer, he kills a guy or he jumps on top of a guy like he's gonna kill him, and it cuts right before he does. That looks like his son on the poster to me. So it wouldn't be shocking if he kills his son, and then that's why Brander hates him so much. Either way, I honestly don't see Brander surviving the events of this first season. Somebody's got to go by the end of the season, and people who are not on the chopping block are Maul. And I guess the Inquisitors, we know at least the Crow can't die. The 11th brother can't die. Morak can, I suppose, but I don't see Brander being the end goal villain. And I think you're going to see a pretty sad end to the captain.
Oh, man.
Well, let me put it this way. Have you guys seen Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
The show Breaking Bad. One of the greatest shows of all time, you know, the highest rated shows of all time, whatever. The storyline, and if you just look at it from afar, of season 1, episode 1 to the finale of Walter White is awesome. He's this pretty much normal guy, gets hit with this horrible news and on his birthday of all days, and he has no money, so he starts doing this thing to get money. He does it. He gets addicted to it. He becomes obsessed, and he sort of just loses his mind and becomes more obsessed with this thing than his real life and his wife and his kids. And that ends up with him, you know, spoiler alert, dying. But having said that, I think that this show could go down a very similar path in that way, where Maul is this Walter White character, where he slowly is so obsessed with this idea of revenge that it makes him go insane. And that's where we see him on Malachor 5, and eventually it leads to his demise versus Obi-Wan Kenobi. Spoiler alert.
Mike, you're ruining everything tonight.
Damn it. Okay. But we already know Maul's ending. So we're just trying to go from where we saw him in Clone Wars to where we see him in Rebels, and how do we get there? And if this show shows a steady decline in Maul's sanity and his want for revenge, because it's not until he's defeated by Obi-Wan where his eyes open wide and he goes, holy crap, I figured it out. And that's where he's going. Is he the chosen one? Obi-Wan's like, yes, I believe he is. Will he avenge us, or will he avenge us? And he says yes. But up until that point, he is so blinded for the want for revenge for Palpatine, and then when he realizes through the Sith holocron that Obi-Wan's alive, he's on that now. So I really hope that we see, just through however many seasons there is of this show, you watch episode 1, season 1, and then the finale, and you see a drastic difference in Maul's sanity and just the way that Maul ticks throughout the entire show. That's my hope.
Yeah, if you see, if we see Maul snap,
this is where the fun begins.
It's going to be insane to watch him go down that path, and I think that's what we're going to get with some of this, horror that they're coming out with. But I think it also plays into all the rest of the characters as well, and this whole story, which I think is fantastic. Because again, if you look at him, as bad as Darth Vader is, as big of an icon as Darth Vader and everybody knows what he looks like, and he does look very menacing. But I mean, Darth Maul, no matter what your beliefs are, looks very similar to a devilish character.
Yeah.
And he's more of a monster type of thing than Darth Vader is, I think, because you have the metal or the plastic breathing and the cape and the all black, but you have this menacing, devilish looking character, and now we're going to see him just go insane, and maybe literally, maybe not, but on all of these different characters that's going to happen. And we're also going to have to figure out these brothers that are going to come with him, who's going to go on with the two of them. How does he, if there's more, or if it's just the two of them, along with what is it?
Why is there only two?
Yeah.
That's a good. Why is there only two of them? Like, if he's going to Dathomir or going wherever and finding these Zabrak brothers, why does he only grab two? Like, you'd think he would grab more to have an army of some sort. So maybe there's only two left. I don't know. But those are the questions, like, the first couple episodes will hopefully give us answers to.
Yeah, they're going to have to answer some of those questions. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah.
I hope, your question about the horror thing, I hope that we get like a scene where like there's some kind of pike or some other unit, and all of a sudden people just start getting snatched, or, light comes on and someone's gone. Like, I do think they, like you said, like Maul looks like the devil, and, that's a pretty scary visual for most people. You could play into that. You could lean into that. And I feel like, as popular as this trailer is going to, I know it's too late now, but like, if we do get another season, they could always, like, wow, this is really popular. We should really lay into this like horror thing a little bit more. But, because we kind of got it with Wrecker going after Omega in that one episode where his chip was like malfunctioning or whatever, or something happened to him. It was kind of, a little intimidating, but you have Maul chasing me around. Maybe he chases Devon around at first or something, or, we get that scene where he walks in and his shadow like basically consumes her. Yeah. I think it would be a mistake not to lean into how terrifying he really can be. Like, and then just set that tone, like, bam, like, this guy is not to be trifled with. We know he's not to be trifled with. He took over Mandalore and all these other things. And so I think that would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens when all this stuff comes to fruition, because we have so much going on in this, and that's where I think it's just going to be. I think it's going to be very fast paced. We're going to slow down a little bit, for a tea party, or for an explanation here or there. But I think it's just gonna move quick.
Someone's just going to throw dynamite in the middle of that tea party.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. Mike, I want you to, if you don't mind, let's go through some of these characters that we have here.
Yeah. So the good part about all these trailer drops that I feel like fans don't really know, or at least I guess we would probably know, but most normie fans wouldn't know, is pretty much every time that you get a trailer for a Star Wars show, it comes with an article, and usually that article on StarWars.com gives you a lot of information about characters and just the trailer in general and what's going on. So we did get an article as well along with this, and along with the poster, which is right there. And we got a bunch of characters here. So I guess we'll go bottom right to top. if you want to go full screen, Ron, so they could see it a little bit better, that'd be probably
Let's see
better.
if I can do that. Yep.
So starting at the bottom, you have right there the kid-looking guy. That is Brenda Lawson's child.
Sorry, Jimmy.
His name. Oh, Jimmy's gone.
No, he's
Jimmy
like
is
blocked by the.
oh yeah. That is Brandon Lawson's child. His name is Riley. And then above him is his dad, Brandon Lawson, who is the police detective captain. And his partner is the droid named Two Boots. Then we got, of course, Darth Maul. His two Zabrak brothers are all the way on the left. They have names Scorn and Icarus, which are badass, and hopefully there's more of them. And then you have the Master and Apprentice with the blue lightsabers. The Twi'lek girl is Devon Izara, and the Master is Iko Diodaki, which is a great name, not a mouthful at all. And then you have all the way to the left there a brand new character, at least to me, and it's described as he's described as a scheming scoundrel named Ludi Vario. So in the poster, he's pretty important. He's got to be, or at least I think so. And then, of course, a very familiar Mandalorian named Rook Kast, who was in Clone Wars Season 7 and voiced by
Vanessa Marshall, who we actually do an interview with. So if you guys haven't checked that out, check that interview out with Vanessa Marshall. She had a fantastic interview with us. We're actually going to have her on again to talk about some more Star Wars stuff. She talked about her podcast that they have. Need to go check that out as well. It's pretty cool. But we had, if you haven't already, check her out in that interview. But yeah, season 7 she was in, and I think it'll be interesting to see what this character brings to this as well. And like I said, we're going to have a whole bunch of different things in here that we're going to have to get explained, especially like that. Would you say Lou or Louis or whatever that little Ludi, scoundrel thing is? So
I don't know what's going on there. That's the thing. Like, there's still that aspect of the show that we haven't gotten in the trailers. The 2 trailers that we got, we don't have the, I guess, the Pike side of things. Like, it's all focused on Maul and this girl, and all the other stuff is sort of pushed to the side. You'll still have bounty hunters, you'll still have the criminal underworld, and you'll still have scoundrels like Ludi that'll be a part of this show, and a big enough part to be on the poster. And that'll be also with this series. I don't know if they're sticking to it with the Maul series, but for the most part, when it comes to Star Wars shows, the trailers are usually only the first couple episodes. Most of the footage is from the first couple episodes. I don't really see the fight on the train with Marok being in the first couple episodes, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this show will absolutely blow our minds, but it does seem like they're kind of throwing that out the window when it comes to this series. But a lot of faces and names to faces with this poster. But the craziest part of this is a face that we don't see. A face that we don't see in either of the trailers or on the poster, but is in this article. And Sam Witwer specifically called out this character, and that is a character by the name of Spybot that will be in this series. Now, Spybot is being voiced by David Collins, and David Collins, you may know the name because he's 1,000,001 characters probably in the Clone Wars, and he is best friend of Sam Witwer, and the two of them played Starkiller and the droid Proxy in the game The Force Unleashed, and The Force Unleashed 2. But you're seeing a lot of similarities and parallels to The Force Unleashed and to Starkiller specifically in this Maul Shadow Lord trailers and stuff. Like, obviously, him throwing the lightsaber through the AT-ST Walker is very Starkiller-esque, but this is where things get really weird. Spybot is voiced by David Collins, and Sam Witwer posted a tweet a couple months back now that said, in 2006, Sam Witwer and David Collins played best friends off screen and best friends on screen with Starkiller and Proxy. I guess if you could call them that. Proxy tries to kill him pretty much the entire game. It's training. Okay, it's training. And then he says, and in 2026, Sam Witwer and David Collins do it again and are best friends in Maul Shadow Lord. Spybot and Darth Maul are best friends in this show. News to me, he's not in any of the trailers. He's not in the poster. He doesn't even exist. We don't even know who this character is. He's just a word on in an article on StarWars.com. We don't know who this guy is. So again, a lot of still mystery about these 10 episodes of this show when a main character, a so-called best friend of Darth Maul on screen, a droid named Spybot, or maybe not even a droid, but Spybot, is not in a single trailer and is not on the poster for the show and is voiced by David Collins.
Well, and that's my
Thoughts,
thing.
gentlemen?
I wonder, yeah. My thing is I wonder when they say Spybot, is it some sort of robot, obviously,
Yeah.
but is it a smaller one? Is it in a computer style type of thing, sort of like L3 is in the Millennium Falcon now, where something like that, where he can talk to it when it's in his ship, whether he's flying around or
Ooh,
because I don't think it's going to be, if we're going to put Devon and him together, we can't have a third wheel. Okay, not that it's a romantic relationship, but him and Devon, if they're going to be master and apprentice, I don't think you can't have this third wheel hanging out. Maybe, I mean, we have Hu Yang and different things like with R2 and C3PO, but I think that name, that Spybot, almost makes me think of even one of those little cylinder things that he sends off to go out and look for Anakin and Obi-Wan and everybody on Tatooine. So something like that, but again, I think it might be something that's in his ship or something that he can communicate with instead of actually being a person or a physical robot.
Well, the way I kind of look at it is it's more so a canon version of this is The Force Unleashed. And I know they're going to draw a lot of aspects from that game because Sam Witwer is the voice of both characters, but maybe Spybot is a canon version of the proxy droid. And if you didn't play the Force Unleashed games, very brief description, the proxy droid he pretty much creates, he can look like different characters almost, and he tests Starkiller's abilities with the memories, or with the memory that he has to fight him with familiar faces. That was a very bad description, but he's a droid that is a training droid for Starkiller. Like he's on his ship, but he helps him train and get stronger and all that. So that might be the same thing for Maul, and maybe he uses this droid to help train this Devon Izara character. But it's just weird that they're making a big deal out of it. Sam Witwer's making a big deal out of it. And it's in this article, like every other name in this article, you have Sam Witwer as Maul, the girl who's voicing Devon, the Brandon Lawson, Two Boots, the Master, Ludi, Riley Lawson, his son, Rook Cast, Marok Icarus. Every character who appears on that with seemingly a speaking role is named right there. And then there's Spybot. Like he's the only other one named, and he's not in anything.
Well, and that's why I think that it could be like a probe droid, where it's something that, maybe it's, I don't see a probe droid on there, but
probe droids don't speak.
No, but again, we also and that's my thing. I guess like L3, and that's where I'm sort of drawing it from is from a certain point of view, where you have some of these things that are thinking and can communicate. So maybe it is some sort of robot that he can communicate with. That's all I'm trying to. That's what I'm sort of figuring is it something like that, because I don't think he's going to have a best friend. Not that Maul could even have a best friend.
Yeah,
it's a weird name, like
Spybot.
I mean, so what do you do for a living? Oh, like it's kind of bizarre. And that's usually I can, like, something pops into my head for maybe what this is, but I am kind of stumped at what Spybot could be. I mean, it doesn't even, again, nothing in the trailers, nothing in the comic. I don't think he steals that ship at the end. Maybe there's something in there. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that's why the comic doesn't come out before the show.
Yeah,
like maybe
the show, does the show start before the next comic issue is issued?
There's one more. So. I think there's one more comic. I think there's one more comic before the show starts, or it might not. I wish Jacob was on
Might
here.
be on
He
the
could
same
probably
day,
tell us.
actually.
Yeah. But that's what I'm interested to see, because it gave us, Jimmy, as you know, you got the comic as well, but it gives us a little bit of information, but I'm interested to see how much more information we're going to get from it, because it's not going to, most people aren't going to pick it up. A lot of the normie fans are not going to pick that comic book up to get a little bit of the background. So it'll be interesting to see what type of information we get.
It comes out April 8th, so it's going to be 2 days after.
Okay.
Well, that's the thing. They might be doing that after. It's a prequel comic series, but the reason that it might be coming after the show, or the majority of the issues are coming out after the show, is because it reveals too much about the show itself. And it's more so you can go back and read the comic now after having seen it to explain why that is. And if Maul's got like this droid alongside of him that he's talking to a lot, you'll be like, well, how the hell did he meet this droid when he wasn't in the Clone Wars? And then the comic explains that. Like, stuff like that could easily happen in the comic.
Yeah, because I thought it was going to be a story of somebody, but yeah, it's going to be weird that these things, because we get one right after the show premieres, and then the next one's after it's over, and then we have two more. We have 3 more after it's over. So yeah, I mean, it could do, because they never really put, the comics are always the first thing that gets like changed. We've seen it other things, so I wonder how much the story, like how much, what we're going to get from it, really, because I mean, it'd be kind of weird not to know how the first season ends and you're sitting there waiting for the comic. You know what I mean? Like, to put something big in a comic like that would be kind of, it's not been done really before. So I would be hard pressed to see it getting done for a show like this as well.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. Yeah, it's cool that they do that. It adds more, I guess, backing to the show. Like, the idea that this show is going to run for multiple seasons. Like, Lucasfilm has a very, very strong opinion of this series, so they make a comic series that goes right alongside of it. Like, that is a good sign to us as fans that they have a lot of faith in the Maul Shadow Lord series. But to your point, it's not like that comic is going to do anything groundbreaking before the show's release.
Yeah. No, well, and again, like, you get little tidbits here and there, and that's why I thought it was interesting, because we do find out, like I said at the beginning, we find out that he's a bounty hunter. And so that for fans like the 3 of us and everybody that's on here, that sort of helps build up that background, where it's not going to make or break an episode or the series, but for us to know that little tidbit of information, I think is pretty cool. It was interesting. Last night, I was, after the trailer had dropped, and just thinking about things for today and just seeing things online, I actually watched A New Hope last night.
Oh,
and
nice.
Everything, and I haven't sat down and watched that in a while. And I mean, I've seen it hundreds of times, but it's been a minute. And actually, the last time I watched it was the end of, well, I guess it's been a year. So the end of Andor season 2, because I watched Rogue One and then I watched A New Hope. But just sitting and going through and watching that is so cool. And Jimmy, I think you can probably relate to this, but just everything that they've done since then, because we saw those 3 movies, and now all this stuff that's coming out with all these Easter eggs that go back to that original concept, especially that first movie. And I know George had all 3 of them, sort of already, in his mind, and knew where he was sort of going to go with this whole story. But to watch that and to see stuff that happened from Rogue One, the stuff that happened in Andor, things like that, just it gave me chills just watching it again last night, because it's just so cool to see where they've gone. And 50 years later, this is one of the biggest years for Star Wars. I know it's going to be 50 years next year, but 2026, with all 3 of these things coming out, is going to be incredible. And it's coming from this one show or this one movie in 1977 with these characters, and they've just expanded on it, and I thought they've done a fantastic job. And that's what we talk about on this channel. We're not bad at anything, and this is just fantastic. So I just thought that was sort of cool to watch that again last night, and just sort of feel some of those extra things because of the story that they're giving us. And I think that's exactly what they're going to do with Maul. They're going to give us more of the story with him and what's going on and build on that character, which I think is pretty awesome.
It's crazy because we just did an episode on our main show about Star Wars. Where is it at now? You know, like is it still a standalone movie? Like how do we view Star Wars now with, you know, all the Disney and everything else like that? So it's kind of funny you brought that up because we had a pretty good conversation about how do you view Star Wars now that you have all this other stuff around it, you know? And those my co-hosts aren't old enough, you know, like I remember it was just the original trilogy and then we got a little bit more. But yeah, I think you're right. I think they've done a great job of, you know, they kind of push things in the way they're incorporating the High Republic in different areas, and they're doing it. I mean, they're doing a good job. The only thing they haven't done a good job at is planning out the sequels. But outside of that, they have done a really good job of like kind of weaving the things in and making it make sense. Like you said, like, oh yeah, like this could have definitely come from here. And, you know, this bridge movie, you know, it's kind of like the center point. I mean, it is, you know, it was year zero for Star Wars. So it is super important. But yeah, that's pretty cool that you brought that up because we had a really good conversation about that. I think it was like 2 weeks ago or something. So it is kind of neat to see how all this stuff just kind of, you know, and I know a lot of times people our age are so grumpy about stuff, but what are you going to do? Like, you can't keep telling the same stories. Like you can't, I mean, you know, like they try to do it in the comics and some of them are so bad. You know what I mean? Like some of the stuff that they're doing with the comics, like I get them and I read them. I'm like, whatever, you know, this is not groundbreaking. You need new characters. You got to change things. I'm here for all of it, man. I may not like everything, but I'm still here for the stories. I love the canon. Let's go. Like, give me more.
Exactly.
Yeah, and to that point too, like Ron said, how much you watch A New Hope or the original trilogy as a whole, and how much that story has changed. It changed in 1999 when the prequel trilogy started, but it's changed even more so up until 2026 because you have all that prior knowledge of characters like Anakin and Ahsoka now, and obviously all the backstory between Padme and Anakin and Obi-Wan and Anakin, and the character of Qui-Gon. You didn't even know the character of Qui-Gon existed back in 1998 and before, I guess. Literally before 1999. But either way, the story has changed so drastically. That's why last year when Diego Luna was hyping up Andor Season 2 and saying, oh, Andor Season 2 is going to change the way you watch Rogue One forever, I was like, what is he, crazy? And then it did, and it was awesome, and it made Rogue One so much better. And I guess in the same way, it made A New Hope better because Rogue One makes A New Hope better. And it's crazy to think that a movie that came out 40 years after the original can make that original better. And it continues to get better with more and more projects that come out. Now, Maul doesn't seem like it's going to directly do that, but it still does with certain characters and just developing the world, I guess. Palpatine and Vader will be involved, I'm sure, in some sort of way. But it is crazy to think that a movie that's almost 50 years old now can still be elevated to the next level by a project that comes out now. Like, that's wild.
Yeah.
Well, and hey, maybe the Mandalorian and Grogu movie will do the same thing. Like if we get an appearance of a Luke, Leia, or Han, or something of that, you know, it'll make Return of the Jedi better.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I think that this I think the Starfighter is as much as they're talking about how it's a separate movie, I think that that's going to help us. I think there might be a little bit of the sequel stuff in there to maybe help us, you know, figure out some of the things that went on in the sequels that we don't have answers for yet, or we were a little disappointed in. And I know, like you and I have talked a 1,000 times about the book, Shadow of the Sith, how that makes those sequels, at least for me it did, and I know for you as well, but it made some things more obtainable thinking, you know, I guess, and digestible in that.
You're absolutely right. There's one scene in particular that gets so much crap online, like it's insane, and there's only one response to it, and it's go read Shadow of the Sith, but it's the scene of Rey holding up the dagger, looking at the second Death Star, going like this with the little wooden thing, and they're like, "Oh my God, this is so stupid. Why does it fit perfectly on the second Death Star and point directly to the throne room?" But that book And granted, at the time of the release of The Rise of Skywalker, that is a complete valid thing of going, this is stupid, this makes no sense.
Yep.
But at the same time, you know what else is stupid? It makes no sense. The entire plot of A New Hope. Well, granted, it makes sense in and of itself, but a lot of things that are said, like the Clone Wars, we don't know what that means. Like, there's a lot of things that didn't make sense at the time. But now it makes sense because in that book, Palpatine himself, well, a Sith cultist, but Palpatine himself come to Ochi of Bastoon, say, you got to kill this girl or kill her parents and bring this girl to me. When you kill the parents, the blood will turn this dagger into a map or whatever, and it does that, and the map is to that. It does make sense now, but we needed the explanation. Just like the original trilogy made sense at the time, but it needed a little bit more explanation, and that's what the prequel trilogy is. So, yes, but I guess no. Yes, it makes sense, but it did need a book to do so. And I know books and comics are not usually the media that people go to watch or read Star Wars or get their Star Wars information. So it wouldn't hurt them to maybe retell that story in an animated show or a live action show. Just like Rogue One and Andor, we just talked about that. Those make the original trilogy so much better. And it's not because the original trilogy was bad to begin with. It's not, but it still elevates the greatness. And I think you could do the same thing with the sequels. Some people think The Last Jedi or the sequel trilogy in general is amazing, and that's great, but you can still put stuff before it and after it to elevate the greatness. But that's just me.
Absolutely.
I mean, just like what Clone Wars did for the prequels. I mean,
oh my God.
Just getting to see, because, that happens so quick in the movie in Revenge of the Sith. But if you watch the Clone Wars and you invest in it, you get to see, I love the Clone Wars when Anakin does something and you see that flash, you're like, ah, and then Kevin Conner, lays down a track that, you can hear, and you're just like, oh my God, like I get goosebumps and my wife's like, what's wrong with you? You know what I mean? I'm like, she's like, I know who he is. I'm like, yeah, but nobody else does right now, and so it's just kind of crazy. Part of the problem with the sequels, though, is they don't really leave a lot of time in between movies to like fill stuff in. I know they're going to, Legacy comes out. And like you said, though, Mike, a lot of people don't read the books. So I feel like a lot gets lost.
There's not time in between the movies, but there is time before the movies. Like, there's a lot of stuff with Snoke's rise to power, how Palpatine returns, Luke Skywalker's fall of his Jedi Temple, Kylo Ren's fall to the dark side. All of that could be explored in live action, in animation, anywhere. In a Clone Wars-esque series, like 7 seasons of a Luke Skywalker Jedi Temple show where you see the fall of Kylo Ren, it would be the same thing. Anytime he does something bad and it plays the music, you would go, oh my God. And it's just like the Clone Wars, but for Kylo Ren, but for Snoke in the First Order. And then you, just like in the Clone Wars where you see Palpatine every once in a while, hooded up and talking to Dooku or something, you would see Exegol and Palpatine and what's going on with him, and it just we need that. Like, we need that so badly for the sequel trilogy to help it for a lot of fans who don't like it or just don't really know what's going on.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I'm thinking. Like I said when we first started this little part, is if we get Mara Jade, if that's who Amy Adams is playing, whether we think that it's going to be their kid, or whatever. But if we get some of that, I think they could be trying to help save those sequels in this. And maybe it's just, they've kept it under their hat and they're saying, oh, this is a standalone. This is what's going on. This is what's not going on, whatever. But if they bring that starfighter in and then there's a little bit of a story there where we can show what happens to Luke, whether it's Mara Jade dying or something happening to her, or a child of theirs or something like that, where he ends up, because again, that is one of the things for me. I'm like, why is he such an ass when he takes the lightsaber and throws it over his shoulder? I think we all sort of thought that. I was like, wait a minute, this is Luke Skywalker. What's the story now behind this?
Yeah. Well, and then a couple seconds later, he tells you, oh, you mean that Jedi Order that at the peak of their powers allowed Palpatine to rise to power and have the Chosen One fall to the dark side? And you're like, huh, he's kind of right. And then you're like, I hate Luke. At the same time, he's kind of right. So what's going on here? But it's the majority of the fuel of why people hate Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi is because they spent 40 years imagining what prime Luke Skywalker would look like, and we didn't get it. They were like, you're gonna get it. The Force Awakens has a cliffhanger of him standing on that cliff looking all badass, and you're like, we're gonna get prime Luke, and it doesn't happen. So in order to please those fans, we got The Mandalorian, and everybody freaking loved that. Him showing up at the end of season 2 was like internet breaking, mind bogglingly awesome. And then him showing up again in the Book of Boba Fett was awesome. So if you got a animated show to focus on the prime of Luke Skywalker and him building his Jedi Order and Leia and Han and them having a kid, that's what people have been waiting for the last 40 years. And then you can end up making him an old hermit, because Yoda's an old hermit, Obi-Wan's an old hermit, but we have so much Yoda and Obi-Wan. We don't have that for Luke. Again, with Anakin, you can have Anakin's fall to the dark side. You can have him as Vader, but we have 7 seasons of Anakin. We have 6 movies of Anakin. We don't have that for Luke Skywalker, and it's extremely necessary.
Yeah, I do think that they're going to tell. I don't think they're going to be telling Luke's story like we'd all want, like you're talking about. Like, that sounds amazing. But I do think they're going to try to fill in the gaps. I think that's what Filoni and Favreau are doing with The Mandalorian and stuff like that. They're going to tell these stories, and it may not come right out and punch you in the face,
Right.
with this is the answer. But if you put things together, because we got Mando and Grogu, then we have Heir to the Empire coming out now. If it's a TV, whatever it's going to be, they're going to put these building blocks in place so that movie makes a little bit more sense. And it's a shame that they have to do that to make the movie better. But I mean, if we get more Star Wars out of it, like, all right, and then you cap it with, in 27, you're going to cap it, with where we're going to start off, 5 years after the rise of Skywalker or whatever, and wherever that's going to go. I mean, I think Star Wars is in a pretty good spot.
Oh, yeah.
With storytelling and just, lead us up to the sequels, because we do know that, like, all those people and all, just like Maul, like, we know his ending. We don't know exactly what's going to happen to all these characters that are in the Mando verse, but none of them show up in the sequels. So something's got to happen, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I think really come back around in the in Starfighter. If that, I know Mike, you and I talked about it, I think, where like if you end with him delivering Flynn Gray's character to a new Jedi temple that has a Rey or a Finn or somebody there, you're like, oh, and that's all you need.
Yeah.
Yep.
And here you go.
Yep. Well, the Mandarin, I think this explains it for all of us, I think. I mean, we don't need to like everything. Again, some people have their opinions on different animation, on different, movies and things like that. But everybody here enjoys Star Wars enough. And that's my thing. People talk about, Star Wars is that. Go out and look for, see how many Star Wars podcasts there are like this. And like, in yours, Jimmy, and see how many. Now, then go look and see. Okay, I want to find a Hobbit podcast. I want to find a Star Trek podcast. You could probably find them, but there's not
many
thousands of them like Star Wars. It's insane. And people talk about how, this isn't going to do that or that's not going to do that. Everybody that's on these podcasts is going to see Mandalorian and Grogu. They're going to go watch it because of what it is. First of all, it's Star Wars. Second of all, you have 2 of the biggest characters in the Star Wars universe at this time, especially with Grogu, along with some of these other major actors that are throwing their voices in there, along with some of these major actors that are actually going to be playing in these movies. And so I think that's going to be an interesting way to see how they explain some of these stories.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. I mean, you go to a store, there's a Star Wars section, like Lego. It's everything Star Wars. But to your point, though, and to the Mandalorian or whatever it was. Sorry, the myth, the legend. The key word there was respectfully. That seems to be lost in translation, but the respectfully of it all. It I guess in Star Wars, it's the internet has the ability to hide behind a username has made people very vocal in recent times. But what are you gonna do? Either way, there's so much Star Wars at this point that you're not gonna find somebody that agrees with everything that you think. It's impossible because there's so much of it. You're not going to find somebody who likes the same things you like, dislikes the same things you like, and it's exactly the same. But that's what I think works about it. Last year you got Andor, a very ground level, just rebel show. And it was, I mean, talk about one of the greatest things of all time. But
Yeah.
this year you're getting Ahsoka season 2, a second season of a Star Wars show, so they should be very similar. Nope. One's completely about like the Force itself and the origins of the Mortis gods and all this crazy stuff, while also being Thrawn in the Heir to the Empire. It's completely different. And then you have the Mandalorian and Grogu, a bounty hunting New Republic huts and underworld stuff. Crazy. Then you have a Sith Lord, a former Sith Lord, in a 10-episode animated series who's now going to be the ruler of the underworld, fighting against Inquisitors in the Empire. Like, whatever you want in Star Wars, whether it's lightsabers, whether it's rebellion, whether it's bounty hunters, whether anything, it's right there. And that was all I just mentioned, projects within the last 12 months. Like, this is all right now. We're getting whatever you want, and you can choose whatever you want and choose what you don't want too. And that's the best part about it.
Yeah, and you throw video games in there and books and comics. Like, you have everything that you want. I mean, if you are a sequels fan, the Legacy book's going to be for you. Like, you could dive into it. You know what I mean? I'm excited to read that book.
I am too, because it draws the connection for Ahsoka, Rey and Leia, and it makes it so much stronger. And because we didn't have Carrie, obviously that was pushed back a little bit, but there's not a lot of time gaps in between the sequel trilogy. That time gap between 8 and 9 with Leia and Rey is a big one.
Oh, for sure. It's gonna be awesome. But yeah, so like you gotta find something. If you can't find something you like, at least like in Star Wars right now, then you might just need to go find a new franchise. Like, if you're that angry, right? I mean, it might just be time to move on. If you really hate everything that's out there and Disney's ruined everything and blah 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 blah. Like, I mean,
that's what I don't get.
You know what I mean?
Disney ruins everything.
Yeah,
Disney ruins everything is crazy to me.
Yeah, and it's like you guys said about it respectfully. Like, I think the Mandarian has a great point. We had this young lady, Marina. She's just getting started in podcasting. She's got great points. She was kind of afraid to tell us that like Rey was her favorite character because she wasn't sure exactly. Well, like, dude, like, you're in a safe space right now. You know, been more people, and I've said this about Mike's show and Ron, this show as well. Like, we just need more people like us. And I think it is growing. There's going to be more of us eventually, just like Lando says, and spreading that positivity and doing it respectfully. Because, I don't love everything that's come out so far, but I'm not going to sit there and bash somebody because I do like it. I want to know why they like it. And we've had plenty of conversations with like Charlie loves The Last Jedi, or whatever. And so they're like trying to see it through their eyes or whatever. And I just think, take a minute, try to see it through someone else's eyes. You might learn something.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So what you're saying is there's been an awakening
has been
in the Star Wars fandom. You've seen it. You've seen it like over maybe the last 5 years, give or take. Like, not just, I guess, more love for the sequels out there, much like the prequels got the same thing, crapped on release, but then as time passes, but you've seen it out there, just more positivity in the Star Wars community. And maybe it's because the content's been so good. Andor season 2 was incredible. Mando has been great. Ahsoka was great. Bad Batch was great. The Tale stuff has been great. Maybe it's because the content has just been so good, but it might just be because people are so sick and tired of all the negativity. The news is negative. Everything is negative in life all the time. Why does your Star Wars got to be negative? It's supposed to be an escape. So why ruin it?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. I think that people want to talk bad about things. I mean, but the sequels were not my favorite, but I'm not going to change anything about it. So why am I going to get pissed about this or that? In reference to some of the story, because all in all, it was a good story, and you have Easter eggs, you have different things that are bringing it back around to some of the new stuff that's coming up. It's the same thing. They're bringing new characters in here for us to continue the story to go on, and because you can't continue with Luke, Han, and Leia, and Chewie, and R2 and C3PO. I mean, at some point we have to move on, and that's the thing. I'm astounded by some of these people. They're like, this wasn't what George had in mind, or this or that. Well, obviously it is, because some of this Maul stuff that's coming out has a lot to do with George, and what his thoughts were. So, and you have the president of the company now who was George's apprentice, so to speak. So I think that everything that's coming out now is fantastic, and we're growing into some of the disliked things. We're growing into them a little bit more because we're getting some more information about them. And but like you said, Mike, it's a fantasy. It's a way to get away. It's a way for us to sit here for 2 hours and talk about science fiction and characters that don't exist in real life, but the story behind it that George created, 49 years ago, we're still talking about it. So obviously they're still doing something right.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's for sure. So what you're saying, so Jimmy was saying there's been an awakening. Now what you're saying is let the past die, kill it if you have to.
Right.
Exactly. Luke, Leia, and Han had to. Well, you bring up a great point about the sequels too. It was sort of the same thing I was saying about Luke, how people wanted to see him in his peak. There had to be a new generation of characters, but I guess the people who were going to see it went in with the mindset of this is just another episode for Luke, Leia, and Han. And that was not the case. This was new generation. Luke, Leia, and Han are there, but they're the Obi-Wans of the mix now. They're the old guys. They're the old timers. They're going to die. And the original trilogy would have had that same reaction if it had come out after the prequels, but it didn't work that way.
Right.
So
they're doing it. Yeah. I mean, they're doing it in Marvel right now. They're slowly replacing people in their prime of their lives. They're slowly replacing Hemsworth and all these characters to start a next generations with all these young kids.
And the reaction is the same. The reaction is people are very against it. And maybe that's the thing, is people just don't want new. You see the argument go both ways. Some people say, leave the Skywalker name behind. Go tell something 100 years in the future. Go tell something 1,000 years in the past. Go tell the old Republic. Just leave it all alone. And then you see other people who say, if it's not Skywalker, I don't want it. If it's not Luke, Leia, Han, if it's not Vader, I don't want it. And I think the problem is it's going to be something in the middle. It's going to be a little bit of both. You're going to get a Maul series. Well, you're also going to get a Starfighter movie. And you're going to get a Dawn of the Jedi movie. It's going to be a mixture of both. And you're going to have to, I guess, deal with that and deal with the fact that your favorite characters are going to die. They all do. It's the circle of life. My favorite characters are Anakin, Ahsoka, and Maul. 2, I know for a fact, are dead. Ahsoka's still hanging on, barely. But all your favorite characters are going to die. You just don't want to see it. That's why The Force Awakens got crapped on, because Han dies. Han Solo is going to die eventually. He has to. So I know you don't want to see your favorite characters die, but they're going to. And that's why my greatest predictions are somebody's going to die, because it always happens.
Well, and I think you had a good explanation of the generation thing, because look at where me and Jimmy are and where you're at. I mean, we didn't know who Ahsoka was. Where when you start coming up, that's your generation right now, which is awesome, and I think they've done a fantastic job. I mean, Ahsoka is one of my favorite all-time characters at this point. I mean, just phenomenal. So for them to continue to do that and bring this next generation of yours, Mike, to continue to love the OGs like we did, but then everything else to come along with the prequels, with the sequels, with the animation, with the live action, to bring all of that together so that somebody in their 20s and somebody in their 50s and 60s can sit here and talk about Star Wars for 2 hours and have the same thoughts about it, and maybe not agree on everything and not have the same favorite characters, but be able to talk about it and have fun with it. And that's what I think is so great about it.
Well, it's a generational thing too. Like, you guys, obviously growing up in the originals and the prequels, so to speak, you have those characters. It's Obi-Wan and Anakin, and it's Obi-Wan and Anakin in both trilogies. Obviously, it's Luke, Leia, and Han in the second one, but still, it's Padme, Obi-Wan, and Anakin. now you have characters like Ahsoka Tano is now 20 years old probably as a character, which is crazy. But you think about her, she's now a legacy character because she's 20 years old. So you look at newer characters, even like Ezra, one of my favorite characters ever. Ezra's what debuted in 2014, maybe like 12 years ago, or even did in Grogu. We're getting a Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Grogu is everywhere. He's the star of the show when it comes to the Star Wars universe right now. He's 6 years old. He was created 6 years ago in 2019 or 2019, 7 years ago, 6 or 7 years ago. Oh no. 6 or 7 years ago when the Mandalorian first came out, and now they're fan favorite characters. And in 10 years, they'll be legacy characters. And it just, the cycle continues. But people who complain about new, at some point, everything was new. At some point, Maul was new. At some point, the character of Ahsoka was new. And everybody had the same reaction. She's annoying. She's the worst. No, thank you. Omega. She's annoying. She's the worst. No, thank you. It's called character development. Give it a second. But it's the same thing. I guess with Din Djarin, people liked him on immediately, but that's a rare scenario. Andor was a side character or a main character, but not the main character of Rogue One. When the Andor series was announced, we all went, everybody groaned at the same time because we were like, who cares? And it became one of the best shows ever. And Andor became a fan favorite character. Bix became a fan favorite character. People you'd never even heard of 5 years ago. That's what Star Wars does to you. So that's why Spybot is going to be a fan favorite character in about 3 weeks.
I want to find out who he is or what he is.
Or what he is.
We'll switch gears a little bit. Since you were speaking about this.
Yes. The Mandalorian.
Yes. It's going to be interesting how all of this comes to fruition, because I feel like, and Jimmy, I don't know if you've heard us talk before, but I feel like all three of these are going to combine into, there's going to be little bits and pieces that are going to help each story, I think, this year. I think the Maul will have something to do with Mando or Ahsoka, and vice versa for the other ones. They're going to tie in somehow, whether it's a character, whether it's not a law, but something that we figure out in between that's going to create these all to come together. But I think with the trailer, the picture that you brought up last week, Mike, what a crazy thing that was. Let me see if I can bring it up here.
It's just like
but
they
this one
use Vader, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just seeing Grogu in the birdcage like that is insane. And we all want to know what's going on here. And to have all these other characters, even the people in the background, for me, I think is so cool for the newness. And like you said, Mike, some of these, obviously Grogu is going to be a legacy character, but who knows if one of these other people are, and they very well could be, depending on how this movie goes.
Yeah, well, Shadow Council members, you got to think, are pretty important, and they could end up being a character like that bald guy in that photo could be, all these guys. We know at least Pelion is one of them, not one of these 5, but he is from the Legends Thrawn trilogy, and he's going to be in canon now. He is in canon now. So he's already a familiar name. But these characters, I guess the way I could see them, and you talk about eventually they could become legacy characters, they could become the next Tarkin or the next Krennic or the next whatever, you name it. Like, more so those types of characters. Maybe not the next Thrawn, because Thrawn's pretty badass. But either way, like the Mandalorian and Grogu is going to introduce Shadow Council members and hopefully Thrawn and maybe some more Imperial Remnant stuff. And those characters could become very important. Moff Gideon's a villain of 3 seasons of a television show, and nobody would have expected that. So
yeah, there's no way that Shadow Council doesn't become. I mean, I feel like that's the setup for the sequels. Like that group of people. I mean, who knows what's going to happen in that movie? But that group's going to be because like, was it Bloodlines book? I think behind
Yeah.
the scenes, and like things are growing, and Leia's doing stuff behind the scenes. Like all that stuff's happening, and so yeah, I think they'll end up being pretty important. And who knows what like new character, like that weird guy in the swamp that's like, "Are you afraid?" Like talking to Grogu, like who knows? He may kind of become a fan favorite or some craziness. I mean, you just never know, which is awesome. That's what's fun about Star Wars, and everyone who doesn't want to move on, then you just never get new characters. Like you've got to
Yeah.
move forward a little bit.
Yeah, you can
And
love the
I get a
old.
little bit of like the grumpiness of how they treated those legacy characters. Maybe could have been a little bit differently. Again, that's fine, but you do have to move forward. And
Yeah.
we get the Mando and Grogu, and that's going to be awesome. And hopefully, whatever Dave and John and those guys are doing now, leading us into the sequels, we get. I mean, think about how excited we were when you saw Zeb in the hallway on that first little teaser. Like I lost my mind. I'm like, live action. I know we saw him in the thing,
Yeah.
but it wasn't the same. He was just sitting there,
Right.
So I mean, talking about like legacy characters and stuff, like the Rebels crew is very close to becoming legacy characters as well.
Oh yeah.
And we're
Oh,
just kind of in the
absolutely.
prime of them at the same time, which is crazy because like we're still
Yeah.
telling stories about them with Ezra. Like because you like what you said, Ron, like the connections between all these. You got Zeb here, and who knows if he's going to mention Hera and Ezra and Sabine in that, and you get something in the Ahsoka series. That'll be pretty cool, and people love those connections.
Oh yeah.
A history teacher, I love teaching that stuff. Like this happened because of this happened because this happened, and everything that's weaved in between because of this person. And as you get older, like those things become a lot of fun, and I think that's why you're like, well, you don't have to know it, but if you do know it, it's going to make it more fun. In
Yes.
the long run. So
Oh, yeah, just like seeing R5 last night, on A New Hope.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, that's so cool.
yeah,
He's
he's
with Mando
he's
hanging
actually a
out with-
hero. He's doing it
Yeah,
on
he's a hero
purpose,
now.
and It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
Speaking
that
of,
is cool.
I do have to. Max just asked me for this.
It's so great.
Woo!
You're gonna get to
Grogu
see
salute.
Grogu in action more though in this movie, which is gonna be great. Like him wielding the Force more, jumping around more, by himself more. And as Jimmy just mentioned, that old dude in the rocking chair, like that whole like meditation scene, whatever. Like there's gonna be a lot of just Grogu and just Grogu by himself, which will be really really cool. And Jan actually said in the chat too, waiting for people to remember how great acolyte characters are.
Yes, I thought.
Yeah. I'm waiting for that too. And when they
Yeah.
do, when they finally do, when they finally recognize how great those characters are, specifically the character of Kymir / the Stranger, then we
Ooh.
might get a second season or continuation of the story.
He's coming to Rebel ScumCon. I'm so
It only
excited.
took a
Nice.
hang on. Somebody's lagging. It
Huh.
only took an hour and 42 minutes, but we did make it to the Acolyte talk, which is pretty great. They're both kind of frozen here, so I'm going to continue to talk because I like to talk. How's it going, chat? How we doing, chat? Back on topic of the Mandalorian, though, you're absolutely going to get a lot more. I guess Grogu being badass. It wasn't that long ago that we were getting Grogu. He wields the Force once and he has to sleep for like 48 hours, and now we got him trained with Luke Skywalker, so he's doing just fine.
Uh-oh.
Oh, we lost Mike.
Yeah. This is going to be the 5th longest movie in the franchise. So there's going to be a lot of character development, I think. I think we're going to get to know these characters quite well, with them going on their separate paths and all that stuff. So that's kind of exciting too. Oh,
It's getting out of hand. Now there are 2 of me. What the heck's
There's
happening?
2 of you.
whoa. You're a
Should I
clone.
remove-
I just
remove
completely
that.
lagged out of this whole stream. I don't know what just happened.
We're just talking about it being the 5th longest movie, Mando and Grogu, time-wise. They announced the time. So I think there's
Yeah.
going to be lots of storytelling, like you guys were talking about. Like, it's going to be a lot of character development, and we know they kind of split and they go to different ways or whatever. But, man, it's going to be so good.
Yeah, I have seen something that time might not be right, but
Oh, no.
it might just be a placeholder they're saying. But
Okay.
either way, I think it will be close to that. Like that, they wouldn't just throw out that number for no reason at all. So I think it's probably close to that 2-hour 20 mark, which would be great. I can't see them. I can't see it being a very short movie. Like there's a lot that has to go down in this movie. We talk about it all the time with this trailer and how it focuses on the Hutts and the Empire and Grogu by himself training with that old dude. Like there's so much going on that you need a long time to do it. We talk about how is Ahsoka going to explain all the stuff with the war in our Star Wars and the Peridia Galaxy. How they're going to do all that stuff in 8 episodes? How they're going to do all this stuff with the Mandalorian and Grogu in just 2 hours?
Well,
valid.
My thing is and I'm going to disagree with you a little bit, Jimmy, because I think we already know and have a lot of character development with these characters. So I think that maybe 1 or 2 characters that we get new in this, but I think that once we get rocking and rolling, it's just going to be moving forward the whole time. Because the guy that's sitting in there, which I'm very curious about when he asked Grogu, are you scared? I'm very curious to see what that develops into, but I don't think we're going to need a huge background for that person. I think that we're going to be mainly on Din, Grogu, going in, setting this trilogy up, hopefully. And I think that it's just gonna be lots of action, lots of force using, so I think that'll be a cool thing. We're still gonna get some new characters, so we'll have some development, but I think it's just gonna be action packed, and that's what I love about this, because we have all of these characters. If Bo-Katan comes in, you don't have to give a backstory for her, because if you haven't seen season 1, 2, and 3, then I mean, not why are you watching this, but you probably should go watch 1, 2, and 3. And that's why you're probably watching this movie, because you have seen 1, 2, and 3 and you love Grogu, or you think the Mandalorian's a badass. So you're coming into this and you see that, same with Bill Burr's character. If he shows up, we don't need an explanation for him, or Cara Dune. Now we'll need an explanation for Grief, to see what happens to him. Obviously, Carl Weathers has passed on, and we'll have, I think there will be some sort of story, and I think that could be some sort of revenge in reference to, what Mando wants to do, or to some of these people. But I think it'll be and just action and just moving forward the whole time, which is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down for the action and the force. I just do think that there's going to be some, like, Grogu's going to have to, like, we need a little bit more from him. I know they say he's not going to speak or whatever, but it's not, he just can't be. He's got to keep growing. So I don't know. Yeah, but I'm down for whatever they give us. I think it's going to be exciting.
Hang on.
Yeah, you good, Mike? Can you hear us? Hello. Uh-oh. You can still hear me, Jimmy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, everybody in the chat, can you hear me and Jimmy? Is everybody? I can see Mike.
Yeah.
He's not moving now.
Nope. No.
Oh,
Nope.
and there he goes again. Uh-oh.
My computer starts doing some weird stuff too after about an hour. So I don't know what he's yeah. My internet's like, stop streaming. So, but
Okay.
I'm here for it, man. I wasn't, I know we haven't really got to talk about this, but like I was kind of looking past Mando and Grogu to Starfighter, because like, oh, it's new. But that trailer came out and we started talking about, recapping seasons. I'm like, no, this is going to be good. Like, this is going to be a good. And then I got to see the trailer when I went to see Avatar Fire and Ash over Christmas. And I was just like, Star Wars on the big screen. Like, it was just like, hallelujah. Like, it's just, this is the way it's meant to be. So I'm super excited for it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know what the heck's going on my end. I think my Wi-Fi is dying or something, because I keep lagging out, but we're fine.
No, that's all good. All good. 5x5. This is Ron and Jimmy 5x5. Max.
Nice.
But I think it's going to be a pretty insane, and that's my predicament. And I think, and whether Derek's listening or not, I think I was the one that called 2 billion before Derek did. But Mike has talked about this movie making $1 billion, which I think it'll surpass that. I mean, I just think that the hype for this, and I think we'll probably get some sort of another trailer or some sort of media stuff that's going to be going on for this. Again, they just showed up, at, what was it, the Golden Globes or the Grammys or whatever.
Oscars,
it was just,
the
Oscars. With Grogu there, because they want to throw that into the people that are watching that show. I bet 90% of those people aren't Star Wars fans that were watching that show, but now they see that Grogu and they're like, oh yeah, that Mandalorian thing's coming out with that little baby Yoda. We got to go see that. Or the kids are talking about Grogu all the time. So I think this is, and I think it's going to spark there was I think it was a week or two ago, maybe somebody can let me know in the chat, or if you guys know, but there was more of a hype that Starfighter was going to get more, media and press and push because they didn't think the Mandalorian and Grogu was going to do so well. And I disagree with that. I think they're both going to be phenomenal, but I think they're both going to crush it in the box office. Now, like we talked about, I think just briefly before we even got on the air, once Spider-Man drops, I mean, Mandalorian and Grogu is going to number 2. But I think, until then, we're good to go. Go ahead,
thankfully, Spider-Man comes out way later.
End of July, I think.
Yeah,
So
end of
it should
July.
be good. But yeah,
It will be
but there is a ton coming out in the summer. This, it's good. The movies are back finally. It feels like, which is awesome.
To kickstart all the summer off is the Mandalorian and Grogu.
Yeah.
Like in May, there's just that movie. Well, obviously other movies are coming out, but in terms of big blockbuster movies, that's it. And then June is Toy Story 5, and then July's the big month. It's Supergirl, Spider-Man, and The Odyssey, Christopher Nolan stuff.
Yeah, it's gonna be amazing.
It's gonna be a crazy summer for movies.
Does Mando and Grogu have to make $1 billion to be successful, given that the budget is like, not $450 million like, the Rise of Skywalker or whatever. So like, I know we get fixated on that number, and I want it to be the highest grossing film ever. That'd be great for Star Wars. But but we're at a point now where if it doesn't make $1 billion, we're like, well, it's a failure, it's a flop, and it's still going to have covered, $700 million. I'll take $700 million profit.
100%. Yeah, no, it doesn't have to make $1 billion to be successful at all. I just think it's going to make $1 billion, and Ron just thinks it's going to make $2 billion. But
I'll say 1.5.
There you go. I think in order for it to be like, holy crap, and people sort of stop what they're doing and go, oh my God, is Star Wars back type deal? Like everybody loves to say Star Wars is back, even though it hasn't gone anywhere. But if first Star Wars movie in 7 years goes to $1 billion, then people are going to turn heads and go, holy crap, something crazy is happening here. So that's my hope. But no, it definitely doesn't have to make that much money to be successful. Superman last year came out, made $600 million, maybe at most $600 million, and that Superman movie was extremely successful. People loved it, and it didn't make a lot of money, or it made a lot of money, but not $1 billion. Didn't even come close, and it was still very successful. Same with Fantastic Four last summer too. Didn't make $1 billion, but it was successful. So $1 billion doesn't equal success, but it would be helpful in terms of selling.
Well, I mean, my plan is to go see it. I know we'll have like a 4 o'clock showing here, and then I'll go again that night and see it again with people.
Yeah.
Like I'll see it twice in the first day.
Oh yeah, the first weekend I'm going to see it at least 5 times.
Yeah, so I'm like, they're getting money. They're gonna. I'm not giving them $1 billion, but I'll do my part.
Yeah.
Well, I think we all will, and that's the thing with it coming out in the theaters is and then setting up Ryan, one of the biggest actors, Ryan Gosling, coming out next year in another Star Wars movie. So you're definitely going to want to go see this one, and then we're going to check out the next one next year. So, and that's just for normie fans. Those are the people those are the people I think that are going to put it over the top, especially with Grogu and Mandalorian.
Well, I mean, to make $1 billion, it has to be more than just people like us.
Right. Oh yeah.
Oh,
it's got to be, hey, I heard this movie is really good. Let's go check it out. Mando and Grogu, it's a Star Wars. Just go, the word of mouth is going to be super important for this movie.
100%. Yeah.
Right. And it has to be in a theater. And that's the thing where I think that's where more people are going to go. Because again, people were talking about Devil Wears Prada too, which I'll watch it, but I'll watch it when it comes out and streaming. I mean, I might go because I have that movie pass. So I mean, which is fantastic, and I love that. But but again, it's not going to be something that I have to see. You don't have to go see Devil Wears Prada in the theater for the action scenes and you know, the cinematography.
There's going to be a great montage in there.
Right, you know. So it's, you know, but Star Wars, that's why people want to go watch these Star Wars, you know, these on the big screen. They want to see these characters on the big screen. They want to see lightsabers and blasters and spaceships on the big screen, because it doesn't have the same effect when you're watching it at home, especially the first time, because that's what we want, and that's what we're gonna, you know, that's what sinks into your skin. I think when you see that at the movie theater, it's crazy compared to, you know, when you do get home and watch it. It's still great. The story is phenomenal, but to see, especially with IMAX, it's going to be insane.
Yes.
You know,
just watch the Maul trailer on your cell phone and then go watch it on your big screen television.
Exactly.
There you go.
Yes.
You know?
How many people got hype? How many?
And the sound, the sound quality of it all too is like, when I watched it on my phone, when I was just like, when it first came out, and then I watched it on my TV, and it blasts you with the sound, especially with the Mandalorian too being in IMAX. I went and saw, I think it was Fantastic Four. I went and saw Fantastic Four in IMAX, and then I saw it again with one of my friends in a regular theater. In IMAX, I couldn't even hear the person next to me talk, which was awesome. That's how I want it. It literally cannot be loud enough, especially with Star Wars. It cannot be loud enough. But when it comes to the Mandalorian and Grogu, that soundtrack that Ludwig put together, like, I want that ingrained into my eardrums. Like, I need that as loud as possible and as big as possible. And you go watch The Mandalorian itself on Disney Plus. It already looks like a movie. You watch it on a big screen, it already visually looks like a movie. And now it's made for IMAX. Like, it's going to be even up another level.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, well, we're coming up on 2 hours here. I know we didn't get to everything, but I think, again, it's just we've been talking for 2 hours about Star Wars, which is freaking awesome. But we'll go ahead and wrap things up. And Jimmy, go ahead and let everybody know on here what your channel's about and when you guys are on.
So we have an international Star Wars podcast. So myself, I'm in Kansas. We have Jack and Charlie, who are both Brits. And then we have Taylor up in Canada. And then my best friend Mike joins me on Tuesday nights. So we kind of have a little ensemble cast, and we do some different things. But we have a main show that drops every Tuesday. And we try to focus on the things that we like. We don't love everything, but we're, you know, like I was telling you earlier, like, we had an episode where the girls came on and tried to talk us into liking the love story of Attack of the Clones. It didn't necessarily work, but now I can appreciate it from someone else's point of view. You know, that's the kind of stuff we're into. We like to have good conversations. We have a lot of guests. We've had Brendan Wayne on a few times. You know, the guy who's really the Mandalorian and stuff, and a lot of different authors and stuff. But we're all over the map. We cover all kinds of stuff, and we try to be as positive as we can be. So, you know, just a kind of like a family-friendly show.
Awesome. And it's
That's an undersell. That's an undersell. Go watch Explore the Force.
Yep.
They're incredible.
Yeah, we're at Explore the Force on all social medias, YouTube, podcast, all that kind of stuff. So Instagram as well. So we like that. We love it. Just like you guys, just like to keep spreading positivity and talking our favorite franchise.
Yeah. And that's what it's about. I mean, like I said, we've been here for 2 hours, you know, and everybody that knows Mike, I mean, he's on for 6
2 hours this morning, right?
Yeah.
Yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah. He's on, 6 hours a week. So, again, go check out Mike, on A Guy Who Loves Star Wars. Check out Jimmy, Explore the Force. Thanks everybody for being here tonight. We had a bunch of people on here again. 730 Evie, Max Rebo, as always. Zima, thank you for joining us. Holly, the man Darren, he actually came over from one of your Jimmy. So appreciate you jumping on. He said it was his first time joining us tonight. So thank you.
Yeah, I got a couple of followers from your stream as well. So that's what I love about this community.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. Like, you just kind of grow, and
yep.
So good times.
Yeah. It's been fantastic. And we love all of you guys being here. So thank you so much. Wednesdays we will be back here. Might do a little configuration on the new setup here, but just still unpacking lots and lots of boxes. So Appreciate y'all being here. Nick and Derek maybe back next week. I'm not sure, but we will be live. Mike, hopefully will be on, and Jimmy will definitely give you a shout next time. And thank you so much for taking the time and joining us. And
thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So we'll keep looking for new things. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern time, a guy who loves Star Wars. Join Mike. And anybody got anything else?
No.
Smart ass. We'll see you on the next Star Wars Jedi Chat. What do you think, R2? Exactly. May the Force be with you.